Hello. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to the August edition of Open Mic, Open Site. Can someone tell me where the month of July went and the month of August? Because I think I've lost track of them. I think they have spontaneously disappeared off of my timeline because my goodness, they went pretty fast. It seems like we were just celebrating the 4th of July. It seems like we were just doing the July edition of Open Mic, Open Site. And yet here we are again. But I am thankful to be here with all of you. Again, welcome to the August edition of Open Mic, Open Site. This is a program of the CollabARTive Community, and we do this every month on the last Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. sharp Central Standard Time, live on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. So I am so grateful that you've chosen to spend this very moment with us. This is a space where community and creativity meet, where stories take root, and where voices bloom in their own time and season. My name is Kyla Williams Tate, and I am the founder of the CollabARTive Community and the host of Open Mic, Open Site. So, our theme tonight is nature's palette. And I'm not sure where you are in the world, but nature is naturing, okay? Here in Chicago, a couple of weeks ago, we were in the 90s, and now we're in the 70s and down to the 50s overnight. So, the seasons are changing. The flowers are dying back, and nature is doing what nature does. So, when I say nature's palette, I don't just mean like the colors that we see outdoors, and those are pretty, especially if you live in a place that has 4 seasons. Though those alone are extraordinary for sure. But think about this. It's like the blush of dawn. I love when the sun's coming up and the sky is kind of pinkish, purpley, a little orange. The greens that never repeat themselves from one leaf to the next, the purples that only appear when the sky decides to turn to dust. Nature is the greatest artist that we know. I know a lot of y'all are really great artists, but nature's a pretty good artist as well. So every day, nature works in the mediums that we cannot replicate: light, water, stone, sound, silence. And artists have always turned to nature as both canvas and collaborator. Poets gather metaphors from rivers and roots. Painters mix pigments to mirror the wild tones of wildflowers. Musicians imitate bird songs or capture the rush of the wind through strings and drums. Sculptures carve wood and stone, honoring the forms they were already there. Dancers move like waves, like trees bending with the wind. And even digital artists today use fractals and natural patterns to inspire new design. Nature has always been the muse, the palette, and the teacher, reminding us that creativity is endless and abundant if only we pause long enough to notice. So, that is really my challenge, maybe a call of action today. I want you to take a breath, a collective breath, and think of the last time nature stopped you in your tracks. Maybe it was a flower breaking through concrete. Maybe it was a lake holding the reflection of the sky on fire. Maybe it was just the quiet rhythm of rain reminding you that rest is part of the life cycle. Whatever that moment was, whatever that moment is for you in the days to come, it has artistry in it. And tonight, as we gather, each sharer, and tonight we have one, and I'll do a little bit of sharing myself later. Each story, each listening heart is part of this larger artwork that we're building together. We'll paint with words, with sound, with silence, and with imagination. So, again, I want you to take a breath and think of the last time nature stopped you in your tracks. What was that thing? I would say I planted some flowers last week. They had not bloomed yet, so they were on sale at my local big box store. They were orange lilies, and they just had a lot of buds, but we had a great amount of sunshine over the weekend and a little bit of a rainstorm that happened during the day on one of those days. And now they are just blooming and beautiful, and seeing those peaks of orange all around my yard and in my front garden is bringing me a great amount of joy. I should have took a picture so I could have showed y'all my little flower. Maybe during one of the breaks, we'll see if we can get that done. So, with that, we are going to move forward and begin with our first featured guest. And I am so excited, y'all. I really have had to contain myself today to get to this point so that I'm not just on this stage, this virtual stage, rambling, because I'm so excited about our first featured guest. So, tonight, we are welcoming the Chicago Botanic Garden to Open Mic Open Site. So, a little bit about the Chicago Botanic Garden. It's a world renowned living museum and so much more. They have roots that grow throughout the greater Chicago area and beyond, and inspire people to connect with plants, whether through science, urban agriculture, lifelong learning opportunities, or the beauty of horticulture. The garden is a nonprofit organization, and it runs as a public private partnership with the Forest Preserves of Cook County. And as y'all know, my day job is working for Cook County. We we and they cultivate the power of plants to sustain and enrich life. And from the Chicago Botanic Garden, we have the pleasure of welcoming Sarah Harlow to our virtual stage. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
I
I'm
am so
good. I'm very excited to be joining you today. It's awesome.
wonderful. I am so excited to welcome you. I love going over there to the Chicago Botanic Garden. It is now my husband. Now, I just told y'all a whole story about my plants. Now, my husband, not a plant person, but he's a me person. So he just deals with right? But we love going to the Chicago Botanic Garden. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place for dates. It's a beautiful place for education. It is certainly affordable, accessible, all of the wonderful things that make for a wonderful visit. So, Sarah, I'm going to turn the stage over to you and see what you have to share as we talk more about Nature's Palette.
Great. Well, again, I'm very happy to be talking to you all today. Very happy to be talking about the Chicago Botanic Garden. So, at the garden, I am the manager of visitor engagement and events. So, we always like to say in our department that we do all the fun things. So, we plan a lot of the things that our visitors would come and enjoy, maybe on a weekend or an evening. And I've been with the garden for about 13 years now. So, I've seen it, over the course of many years develop and grow into what it is today. Um, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about our annual theme that we have going on this year, which I think really ties in perfectly with the theme of this talk tonight, Nature's Palette. Our theme this year is entitled Pattern by Nature. So we really try to hone in pattern design with horticulture. And the different kinds of fashion and sustainability aspects that theme kind of brings together. And I also just really want to touch on another really fun attraction that we have at the garden, which is our model railroad garden. Not so much to do with patterns, but it is a really special gem that we have at the garden that's been running for many, many years, and is a fan favorite for a lot of our visitors who come to the garden. So, like I said, this year's theme is Patterned by Nature. And so when we were developing this theme, we've been doing annual themes in the summer for quite some time now. We really wanted this year's theme to focus on the visual aspect. We wanted the horticulture to be the star of the show. And I think we really successfully achieved that this year. We partnered with our horticulturalists 2 years ago. So we started planning for this theme in January of 2023. And, our horticulturists need a ton of time to plan out their designs well in advance. They have to order the plants, they have to order the seeds, create the design. And we were able to partner with a large amount of our horticulturalists to design patterned gardens. So once you walk into the garden or drive into the garden, you're going to be seeing display gardens of a ton of different patterns. We have chevron, we have a rayscape, we have paisley, polka dots, all sorts of really fun patterns that are designed in this pattern theme. And we also kind of really want people to dial in and take a closer look at that natural aspect and that patterns are present in and of the plants themselves. So some of our potted containers at the garden, or even just as you're walking through, you can see our coneflower has a pattern. There's different patterns on leaves and on bark. And we really want to try to bring that to our visitors' attention and to get them to appreciate a greater sense of that patterned environment around us. So on the slide here, you can see a couple of examples of our display gardens planted in this pattern display. On the left here is our rayscape pattern, which is planted in our crescent garden. And this photo was taken a few months ago, mostly at the beginning of the season. We opened this theme on June 7th, and it will run through September 21st. So for folks who are interested in checking it out and experiencing the garden in Pattern by Nature theme, we have plenty of time to enjoy it still. But this rayscape pattern has really filled out over the past few months. And, if anybody is a gardener and is familiar with our August gardens, they are lush and full and abundant. So it is looking absolutely stunning now. And then on our right here is our circle garden. And this was a really fun design that we had our horticulturalist planted in a paisley design. So she selected really low growing plants and succulents to try to accentuate and have those paisley designs easy to read. We also worked with a fabricator. If you can see in the far distance of this photograph, it is a metal steel sculpture of a paisley print that was fabricated by a local designer, Timothy Hawley. So that just kind of helped accentuate the entire paisley design. So while the horticulture is definitely the hero of the theme this year, we were fortunate enough to be able to collaborate with 3 really wonderful artists to kind of tie in an art-based installation to this theme and to just give our visitors something immersive and colorful and beautiful to experience while they're here at the garden. So the first artist we worked with, her name is Rachel Hayes. She is a Tulsa, Oklahoma-based artist who specializes in large textile panels. So she was created 3 different installations for us. First at the top here is in our visitor center. And these are really long textile panels that are underneath our skylight in the visitor center. So on really beautiful sunny days, you get that beam of color that is just all over the visitor center floor, which is absolutely stunning. On the bottom left is one of our 2 bonsai courtyards. We have 2 bonsai courtyards at the Botanic Garden, and she created these giant 43-foot square panels that are suspended horizontally over the courtyard. And these have been really well received by the garden and our visitors. They're absolutely stunning to walk underneath, to take photos underneath of. There's even been classes who are doing story time under there, which is really kind of cute to see. And it's been really great for the trees. So it's kind of been a twofold benefit. Not only do we have beautiful art to experience, but the bonsai really benefit from the additional shade. These courtyards are exposed to full sun normally. And in the summer months, it can just totally be a roaster out there. They can get up well over 100 degrees. And with this added benefit of this textile installation, it's been much more temperate in there, and the trees have been so much happier. And then finally, on the other opposite side of that bottom corner is our farm on Ogden location in North Lawndale. And Rachel created 3 beautiful panels to create a really colorful landscape on the facade of that building. So super fortunate to work with her. She's been a great collaborator, and I think it's really accentuated the theme this year for us. The next artist we have is actually an international artist. So Raquel Rodrigo is out of Valencia, Spain. That's where she was born and raised. And she specializes in cross stitch. So not just your regular kind of cross stitch that your grandmother or mother might have done, but this is a large scale cross stitch that's installed on somewhat of like chicken wire, but like a hardware cloth. So she created these really beautiful panels that we have installed out on our Welcome Plaza. And she flew over from Spain to install them, and to see her work in person was quite a treat. And when you approach the visitor center, you're getting into the garden. These are one of the first things that you get to experience, and they're absolutely stunning. We're very happy to have them. And then our last artist that we worked with is actually a Chicago-based artist, Kristen Field, who is a friend of the garden. She specializes in natural dyes and textiles. So she created an installation that is currently up in her East Greenhouse Gallery. And she either hand dyed or hand wove all of the pieces that are on display. She grows a lot of the plant material in her own garden that she uses to dye with, and is a really talented weaver. And it was really nice to have Kristen's art as part of the theme, because it kind of has a connection of, not only are the horticulture and the plants and the displays beautiful to look at, but these plants can actually be used in the fashion industry in a different way, whether it be dyes or weaving them, and implementing that kind of natural element into our garments and into our textiles is something that we were really happy to talk about. So really love to have Kristen's pieces. And the next thing was kind of fun. So we have an exhibition space as well at the garden. It's in our Jutras Gallery in our Regenstein Center. Every year with our theme, we try to have a really fun exhibition. And this year we partnered with a local college of ours, so Columbia College of Chicago. They have a fashion school. And the person dressed in black here is Justin LeBlanc, who is a professor of that college and also teaches classes at the garden. So we partnered with him to work with a group of students to upcycle garden materials. So all sorts of garden materials for the students to use as a challenge to create high-end garments and couture style gowns and evening wear. So we collected over the course of a couple months materials like burlap, old uniforms, volunteer aprons, old banners, and we even had some tulle that we were protecting our trees from when the cicadas invaded last summer. And we gave them all these old resources of ours, and they took with them, got inspiration, and made these most beautiful garments. And we got to work with them every step of the way. We got to see them create the garments, choose their material, and install them here at the garden. And the outcome is really stunning, and it's just fun tie-in that, you could upcycle things, you can be sustainable, and still have a really lovely outcome. So we're so thrilled to have that at the garden this summer as well. And of course, since this is my department, I'd love to touch on our programming that we do at the Chicago Botanic Garden. You can totally experience Pattern by Nature. It's an old self-guided tour. Many of our visitors are just coming to the garden to enjoy the natural beauty of all the hard work that our grounds team and our horticulturalists put in. But we also love to add experiences for our visitors to enjoy. On weekends, we have had a lot of pop-up programming. We had our artists visit us several times throughout the year so that visitors can do a meet and greet and talk with them. We've had printmaking opportunities. This artist here, her name is Camille Billy. She does printmaking that our visitors could also participate in. And then on the right here, we had a really fun new event this year that we introduced on select Thursday nights. One of them is actually tomorrow night, the last of the season, called Garden Game Nights. So we have a garden-wide or a garden area puzzle hunt, so people can participate in that. That was created by another Chicago partner of ours called the Mystery League. And we also have these really giant, super fun long games set up on our Esplanade of all different kinds of pattern themed games. So think of like checkers, Connect Four, themes or games that have a pattern element to it for visitors to play. So that's been really fun. Always try to do fun things at the garden that tie in with what we're doing and what we're proud of. So that's all about Pattern by Nature. But now I want to touch on a really other fun element, which is our model railroad garden. So our model railroad garden is actually in its 26th year, which is kind of hard to believe. It actually started as a temporary exhibition. It was only supposed to be operating for 1 year, but our visitors loved it so much that we've been able to keep it going for the past 26 years. It takes a team about 50 and train engineers, which is a combination of staff and volunteers, to keep our trains running. The garden itself is this really sweet little garden that has landmarks in it that represent the whole country. So you enter in to the Model Railroad Garden, you're out in the west, and then as you proceed through the path, you go all throughout the country, see all different iconic landmarks, all representative of different areas of the states, and then end on the East Coast. So this is a favorite attraction of children, of course. You can see Thomas the Tank Engine here. The kids love that, but adults love it too, and they love to see the different trains running. We have 19 trains, 19 tracks, in over 5,000 plants, all condensed into this wonderful little garden that we're really proud of, and so proud that we've been able to keep it running as well. This image here, I just wanted to share because I thought it was so fun. In 2025, occasionally we rent special figures and landmarks, and we were fortunate to have a roadside attraction experience that particular year. And here is our iconic Jolly Green Giant that is constructed entirely out of plant material, which is pretty incredible. We partner with a company out of Kentucky called Applied Imagination, and they help us build all of our beautiful landmarks. They are all built out of natural materials, and the attention to detail is immaculate and incredibly impressive. All of the buildings, all of the things that you could see, they have little acorns for like tops of buildings, and the shingles are made out of plants, and it's just absolutely incredible. So if you're encouraged or interested in checking out the Model Railroad Garden, this attraction is open later in the year and will be closing on October 12th. So plenty of time to see it. But yeah, that's what I was happy to talk about today. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything that you might want to talk about.
Sarah, thank you so much for sharing all of those wonderful opportunities to engage with art and nature at the Chicago Botanic Garden. I do have a couple of questions. So you referenced the cicadas, right? The cicadas came. I didn't spend any time outside for like 5 months because they just were attacking me and they were everywhere. And we have some small redwood trees that we planted in our front yard, only 2 years old. And so my husband wrapped those with nets, and cicadas just were everywhere. I just never even thought about like what botanic gardens did in cicada time. So share a little bit more about that. I'm so interested.
Yeah, it was really fun. I thought it was such an incredible experience. I was like, bring them on. I'm excited to see them. So we had quite a bit. Our plant healthcare team kind of manages our insect populations here at the garden when things get a little bit out of control. They're the individuals that we call to help maintain it. So they were well prepared. And kind of like you spoke to, they did wrap our juvenile trees in tulle to help protect them from any sort of insect damage. But really, a lot of the stuff was just kind of left to nature. And we didn't really experience too much damage. Some of our larger trees that we had a significant cicada population on had like a perimeter, little bit of damage that you could see because the I think what happens is that they lay their eggs in the bark. So they'll actually dig into the bark on the branches, lay their eggs in there, and then that rest of that branch usually will die off. So we did experience some die off on some of our trees, but generally they were quite harmless. It was a little bit messy because, there's bugs all over the place and they're big. I mean, cicadas are still around now. It's just the brood was so large. But it was really kind of a fun thing to experience. I think it's really interesting.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
answer. What we found here, at least at home, because we understood that the cicada carcasses and everything have like nutrients in it, and so like as we talk about like the ecosystem of all the things, that the cicadas even had a place, and so like there were plants that showed up this year that we've never seen before, and we're like, we wonder, is that because the cicadas left a few friends behind, to help to, nourish the soil. We're wondering, which portion of their existence last summer helped our garden along, because it was very, very lush this year, more lush than it has been in previous years.
I could see it. Yeah. And I know that I saw a lot of birds snacking on them and, just kind of contributing to that beneficial life cycle. And I think there were a lot of very chubby, happy chipmunks and birds and everybody who took advantage of that surge of cicadas that we had. So, but I could see them being an additional beneficial fertilizer for your garden. So that's kind of interesting to hear.
Very good. Now, I've, these terms, because again, part of our job here at Open Mic Open Site is to teach and for us to learn together. So I've heard botanist, I've heard horticulturist. What's the difference between the two? And are both at the garden, or one versus the other?
Um, yes, I would think so. I think a botanist would probably be more scientifically studying the plants and how they behave on a more scientific level. This is going to be a very basic understanding. I'm just a little bit guessing, but that's my general understanding. And horticulturalists are more the gardeners and the caretakers at the garden. So they are the boots on the ground, doing the plantings, doing the design, doing the installation, doing the plant, the care and the health monitoring of our display. Because like you said, we are a living museum. So a lot of our plants, we have a lot of annuals that we change in and out season to season, but a lot of our plants are part of our what we call our permanent collection. So we have plants that are accessioned, that go into a database that we have documentation of. So our horticulturists are the teams that care for those plants.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's good to know, and learn something from there too. And then I think
Mhm.
my last question before we wrap up is, so we're in the Chicagoland area and it gets cold here during the winter months. What happens in the garden with all of the coldness and the snow and all the things that happen, the below zero temperatures? How are you navigating that in this environment?
Yeah, well, I would say our team is they are experts at handling all different types of weather. And as you probably know, like the Chicagoland area, we have our fair share of just like crazy weather.
Mhm.
So they've become equipped at just handling just about any situation. So, for our perennials, our plants that come back year after year after year, they are prepared and ready to handle Chicagoland weather. Um, so our horticulturists, they monitor what's happening. They prepare for super cold weather. They prune at specific times of the year to make sure that our plants are healthy and thriving. We have our fun holiday, our lightscape that we have every year, our holiday light show that runs during the winter months. And actually, the past few years haven't been that cold, which has actually been something else that we've kind of had to deal with, where things aren't getting to that cold temperatures as much as we want. Things are coming up earlier. We're having earlier bloom cycles. Our spring perennials are coming up and blooming earlier than they have in the past. And, just kind of dealing with those climate-based changes has kind of been interesting to experience and witness. over the past several years. Like I said, I'm not a horticulturalist, so I don't know specifically all the ins and outs of it, but I have been at the garden a long time and have witnessed, some of these crazy floods that we have in the summer, or some of these, polar vortexes. I don't know. I think that was maybe back in 2015 or 16. But the garden's adaptable. Plant life is very adaptable and resilient, and our team is amazingly supportive in making sure that our living museum is thriving and being successful. So everybody does a really great job, and I just want to commend the people who do work outside in all those weather conditions, because those the paths, they need to be plowed in the wintertime, and so there are people out there in all kinds of conditions making sure that the garden maintains and is always a very welcoming place for our visitors to enjoy. So they do a great job.
Love that, and agree. They do an amazing job. Every time I've been, the grounds are just beautiful and immaculate and well manicured. And I need to talk to someone over there, your horticultural department, because I have a hydrangea in my front yard, and I have zero idea of what's going on there. So when you said, when to prune, like, I don't know when to prune, and hydrangeas grow on dead wood apparently, and I'm just like, this is the most confusing plant ever, but it's beautiful, but it's confusing me. So certainly looking forward to my next visit to the Chicago Botanic Garden. Is there anything else you want to share, Sarah? How can folks learn more about the Chicago Botanic Garden and any of the upcoming events or exhibitions that you have?
Yeah, so I would always defer people to check out our website, chicagobotanic.org. That's a really great area to find upcoming events. A few of the upcoming events that we have, we're excited about, is our Night of 1,000 Jack-O-Lanterns event, which happens 3 weekends in October. We're always really excited to have that. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, our holiday light show, Lightscape, is coming up, which is kind of hard to believe, but it'll be the holiday times before we know it. And we're really always happy to invite people to come and enjoy the holiday season at the Chicago Botanic Garden. So thank you so much for having me today. This was so much fun. And yeah, come visit the garden. It's still such a beautiful time of year. The late summer is my favorite time because things are lush and the gardens are full, and it's absolutely stunning.
Indeed, indeed that it is. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today. And y'all, if you are in Chicago, again, year round, you can go visit the Chicago Botanic Garden. And we will put the website inside of the comments and in the show notes as well. Again, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing with us on Open Mic, Open Site.
Thank you.
Nature's palette. Well, I'm inspired. Like, I feel like I got some information that was super helpful for my own purposes, but I am really hopeful and thankful for them being around. Like, the botanic gardens that are all over our country are such a necessary institution of learning and protection and curation of our beautiful flora and fauna that's out there. So I encourage you that wherever you live, make sure you go visit your local botanic garden, support them. They need your support and love. Bring your kiddos there, bring your mom and them there. It's a good place to certainly visit. So we're going to move on to a few announcements. So first, as y'all know, and I think I said earlier in the show, this is open mic, open site. We do this every last Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on the CollabARTive Community YouTube channel, as well as live on LinkedIn. And this month's theme is Nature's Palette, but I want to highlight the next 3 themes because, again, we love to showcase our local organizations and our local artists and individuals and subject matter experts around these artistic type of topics. So if this is you coming up for one of our upcoming shows, we would love to hear from you. Please connect with us on the collaborativecommunity.org website. We would love to hear from you and have you be our next featured guest for one of our upcoming open mics, open sites. So for September, The theme is dreamscapes and fantasies. So we're looking to unleash imagination with surreal, whimsical, or outer worldly or otherworldly creations. October is shadows and light. We are looking to play with the contrasts and dualities and the interplay of darkness and illumination. And then November is resilience and hope, focusing on overcoming challenges and finding optimism in adversity. So, those are our next three open mic, open site shows and themes. And again, if you are interested in being a featured guest, featured artist, featured sharer, featured speaker, we are welcome to that and are actively recruiting for our next set of artists for our next three shows. Again, September, Dreamscapes and Fantasies, October, Shadows and Light, and November, Resilience and Hope. So that is the next 3 months of I open mic, open site. Now, I have a couple of digital equity related announcements to make because, again, the collaborative community is made up of a lot of digital equity champions, practitioners, advocates, etc., who happen to also be artists. So I want to bring your attention to what we at Cook County Digital Equity call our Super Bowl, which is Digital Inclusion Week. And Digital Inclusion Week runs this year October 6th through the 10th. It's always the first full week of October. And Digital Inclusion Week, of course, was launched by our partners, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, NDIA. And we, along with many other folks across the United States and even globally now that I understand, are going to be celebrating and advocating and bringing more awareness and attention to digital inclusion. So we at Cook County are striving for 100 events for Digital Inclusion Week. And we have our last open call open for event hosts. Now, what does an event look like? An event could be an actual in-person event where you are inviting maybe the public or maybe one of your affinity groups to have a community conversation with you. An event could be you hosting a virtual webinar about cybersecurity or internet safety. An event could be going to do a field trip with your classroom to a data center so that they understand what that looks like and what data centers do. An event can be as large or as small as you like, as long as it touches the tenets of digital inclusion. So, increased access, uh, infrastructure, confidence, digital skill building. As long as it's in the wheelhouse of digital inclusion, it counts. So, our last call for event hosts are open. So, I am challenging everyone who lives in Cook County or does business in Cook County to go deep inside yourself. Go deep inside yourself and connect with us to be an event host. We do have a little bit of stipend support to help those events along, but we are really looking for more event hosts to join us so that we can reach our goal and beat our goal of 100 events during Digital Inclusion Week. And we at Cook County are also hosting our first event during Digital Inclusion Week, which is called Access Amplified. It is our very first inaugural Digital Equity Learning Symposium. It's a all-day event starting at 8 o'clock, ending at 8 p.m. And we are going to be at Malcolm X College. It is free. Let me say that again. It is free for you to attend. So we are calling all of our practitioners, our partners, stakeholders, electeds, folks who are just interested in learning more about digital equity and their role in our ecosystem. We invite you to come and spend the full day with us or part of the day with us so that you can learn more about digital equity and how we can continue to work together to advance digital equity across Cook County. So again, that would be October the 7th, which is a Tuesday. We start at 8 o'clock. It's free. We're going to feed you a little breakfast. We're going to get you a little lunch. There's going to be a couple snacks. There's a little reception afterwards. We want you to see us. We want to see you. We want to join together, learn together, plan together, grow together so that we continue to advance digital equity together. That's the only way we're going to be able to incrementally address these gaps in communities and ensure that everyone, and I mean everyone, across the county has access to the internet and all of the digital tools that they need and the skills to do whatever it is they want to do while they're navigating the digital society. So we hope to see you there. And then my last announcement is we were talking with Sarah earlier about how does the Chicago Botanic Garden deal with the very cold weather that comes from time to time. But as she mentioned, the last 2 winters have been fairly mild. We're hoping for that as well because in February 2026, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance is hosting its Net Inclusion Conference here in the Chicago area. So, yes, it will be a little chilly, but get you a little hat. Hat season will be upon us. Some hats, a couple mittens, a nice scarf. We're not going to be outside. We're going to be inside where all of the people there are going to create love and warmth around our topics of discussion. And I love net inclusion. Again, first of all, it's the largest practitioner gathering in the country around digital inclusion specifically. So you get to meet all the people across the country that are doing this work. The sessions are amazing. The lightning rounds, you get to learn all these best practices and all of these wonderful opportunities to enhance your programming, enhance your learning opportunity. That happens at Net Inclusion. We were in the Gila River community in May of this year, but we will be in Chicago in February 2026. So I want you to meet me there. Please meet me in Chicago for Net Inclusion 2026. The application for speakers, from what I understand, was extended. So I think you have till next week, the 2nd or the 3rd, if you were planning on submitting a speaker proposal and just ran out of time because time is moving lightning fast. They have opened it and extended it, reopened it and extended it till next week. So visit the National Digital Inclusion Alliance website to get more information on how to submit a speaker proposal. And again, I hope to see you in Chicago in February. So I think that is all of my announcements for uh, around the digital equity, digital inclusion space. So now I'm going to round off our conversation today with some nature's palette stuff that I discovered in my scrolling, right? So I am working on my own digital skills in the social media space. And so I started a Instagram for CollabARTive Community. So if you're not following us there, you should be. Get on over there. Like I share a lot of good stuff. But as I was sharing some things and the algorithm is doing what the algorithm does, I came across some information that has brought me a significant amount of joy. And it's around water lilies. And so I'm giggling because it's not funny, but it's just tickling me with joy to talk about water lilies. So, water lilies, and let me get to my notes so that I can make sure that I am speaking this correctly. I'm not a horticulturist or a botanist, but I want to make sure I'm giving y'all good information. So, water lilies are aquatic plants that grow in still or slow moving fresh water. Their round, floating leaves are often called lily pads, and large, colorful flowers sit on the water's surface. They have a lot of symbolism in religious practice, like Hinduism. They are often associated with calmness, reflection, cycles of life, since their blossoms open and close with the sun. And I'm always really just impressed and see it as a miracle, those flowers that open and close based on whether the sun is up or not. Now, one of our famous artists, Monet, was Claude Monet to be exact, was really into water lilies and did a lot of painting of water lilies. Jordan, if you want to share a couple of the photos so folks are getting the visual around water lilies. So Claude Monet created a water garden at his home in France. And the pond with its lilies and a Japanese bridge became both his sanctuary and lifelong laboratory for exploring light, color, and movement. And Monet was so fascinated by how water lilies mirrored the sky, clouds, and shifting light. It gave him endless variations to paint, allowing him to push Impressionism into near abstraction. So Monet really got into the lilies and saw them as a inspiration point and did a lot of paintings around these water lilies, which again, they almost don't even look real if you've seen them up close and personal. So, towards the end of Monet's life, the Water Lily series, which is over 250 canvases, became immersive works meant to envelop viewers. They reflected not only nature's beauty, or nature's palette in our case, but also his personal meditation on time, transience, and vision, even as he struggled with cataracts. So he did a lot of this painting and had cataracts. And so when you see those Monet Lily series and things look a little fuzzy, I think that's what gives it the charm. I love art that is has a bit of imperfection in it, because nature is perfect, but the the way that nature interacts is also a bit of imperfection, and I find that to be beautiful. So, in the Water Lilies mural, which is hanging in a museum in Paris, the viewer is surrounded by vast panels of floating blooms and reflections. Monet called them his illusion of an endless whole of water without horizon and without shore. So, water lilies act as both natural subjects and vehicles for exploring perception. Water lilies are beautiful, and I'm so excited that I was introduced to some water lilies through pictures on Instagram, but maybe not in the way that you think. Actually, there is this thing called the water lily, and let me get the name right so I can make sure I say it right. The viral global water lily way off. So this is something that was born at the Denver Botanic Gardens. It is a challenge that public gardens and zoos around the world see how much weight that their Victoria water lily can hold. So the third annual competition is taking place right now, and I think wrapped up a few days ago, August 18th through the 24th. And there was 40% participants across 8 countries, and the Denver um, Botanic Garden has a trophy, and the trophy travels from place to place as winners are announced year by year. And I want to say that last year's winner, I believe, was from the Missouri Botanical Garden. They were the 2024 champion, and they were able to hold 142 pounds on their water lily before it began to sink. So, of course, on Instagram, I went down a tremendous hole around all of these water lily weigh-ins. And one of my favorite videos that I came across that I've watched a lot of times and have shared among my networking friends, introducing them to the water lily weigh-off, is by the Atlanta Botanical Garden. And we have a video of that.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Shakim.
And we are back in the Skyline Pond for our annual Water Lily Weigh-Off Challenge with our lovely Victoria lily. This year we're using our Victoria Longwood Hybrid, which is a hybrid between the two species Louisiana and Amazonica.
The largest one we've had so far was 51 inches. Today we're going a little bit smaller with about 38. Wonderful.
So this year we decided to use a piece of plywood, this beautiful plywood you see here, which will kind of help to distribute the weight a little bit.
Science.
Here come our items. First up on the list.
Got ourselves a little phalaenopsis right here. Should I start? There we go.
So we have a beautiful phalaenopsis.
Thank you.
Next up is Terry the squirrel. You may recognize him from our past videos.
He doesn't stand, so he's going to lie down for right now.
Coming up next, we have our Atlanta Botanical Garden logo.
Perfect.
Next up, we have the Garden Gin.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. Terry can hold on to that.
You know what? You're right. Terry's here for a good time as well. Oh, for branding.
And lastly, for our fun items, we have some pieces from our current exhibit, Enchanted Trees by Patrick Scher. All right, taking on a little bit of water.
That's my fault, so
but
cut that out.
It'll be fine. So here are all our fun items weighing in at about 17 pounds. Slight correction. With all of the fun items plus the plywood on the lily pad, we're weighing in about 29 pounds. It's time for the real deal. First 10-pound bag. Okay. Oh. So far, so good.
Oh, taking on. Should I?
No, keep going.
Keep going. All right.
40, 67.
More.
77.
More. No, that's not it.
Nope.
That's not it. Nope. Nice try.
77 pounds. Job well done, Victoria. Oh.
So check those out. I think, hashtag water lily weigh-off. They are all over social media, and different botanical gardens and zoos did it very differently. And so it's been a really nice departure from all the other negative things that are floating down our timelines and in our news. And so I encourage y'all to go check out the water lily weigh-off on social media. And big shout out to the Denver Botanic Garden for thinking about this challenge and hosting it now for the third year in a row, and for all of the entries that submitted something for consideration. But as I continue to scroll down and learn more and more about and watch more and more of those weigh-off challenges, I saw a cross challenge of the water lily weigh-off and the Nicki Minaj challenge. Now, again, I'm a person of a certain age, and I don't know a lot about what's happening on the social media as far as challenges are concerned. But there was a lot of folks coming down the timeline with their leg crossed and standing up on like bottles and desks and all that kind of deal. And, I had the sound off, so I didn't even know that it was music. But finally, I was able to hear that this was the Nicki Minaj challenge. And there was some song of hers that was happening with these folks that were crossing their legs and balancing on one leg. And, there were people that had heels on, and it was really fascinating to see the type of balance that these people had. I have a bit of a bad right knee and a bad right ankle from a ice skating incident in the early 90s. So we won't be doing too many of the Nicki Minaj challenges in that particular way. But I found a cross between a water lily weigh-off and a Nicki Minaj challenge. Jordan, go ahead and play that video.
Box better than the box he was held in. I'm Mama D in the outer. I call him Tabby like Doubters. He like it when I get drunk, but I like it when he be sober. That's
So shout out to Kew Gardens, who had one of their staff members doing the Nicki Minaj challenge on their water lily, which I found to be hilarious. So this is our show today, Nature's Palette. I want to thank the Chicago Botanic Garden and Sarah for joining us and telling us all about all of the wonderful things happening there. I want to again thank the Denver Botanic Garden and the Atlanta Botanical Garden and the Kew Garden that did the Nicki Minaj challenge as we are building awareness and inviting people into your world. Again, this has been a beautiful episode and one of my favorite times of the month. I always leave these episodes feeling refreshed and inspired. And I really hope that there's something that was shared today that also inspired you. Nature is such a beautiful place and a beautiful space to be artistic and creative. So, with that, I want to ensure that you meet me back here next month, September, and let me get the date so I can make sure I say it right. September the 24th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are live on the CollabARTive Community website. We are live on LinkedIn. Join us next month for the next edition of Open Mic, Open Site. Thank you for tuning in. Share this episode. Share all the episodes of Open Mic, Open Site. They are on our YouTube channel and available for the replay. Be part of the replay gang. See, I'm getting my social media chops together. Be part of the replay gang. And with that, I'm going to bid you good night. Be safe, stay connected, and we'll see you next time.